Hello, how you doing? I'm Craig Parkinson. You are listening to the Two Shot Podcast. Sit yourself down, pop the kettle on. We're going to have a nice old chat. Who's it with this week? I'm going to tell you right now. How the devil are you? Now, regular listeners might be thinking, Craig, you always ask that, how are you? Well, this morning, not great, to be honest. About 48 hours before I'm recording this, I had a cold, and the cold didn't just sort of, normally comes out your nose. Sorry if you're having your breakfast, but you know what I'm talking about. It just went on my throat. Now, it wasn't sore, but currently I'm recording this from Sheffield. Sorry, I have to keep swallowing. It was so gravelly and croaky, I could barely get words out when I'm filming. And I had the lion's share of lines today. And it was a real struggle. Basically, I woke up sounding like the continuity announcer on Radio 4. You know, the great one, he's brilliant. But I could do a very passable impression of him. So it was a really hard day today. And now it's what time is it? Let me have a look. It's 10:20 on Wednesday night. So I'm recording this at the 11th hour. I'm tired. And I'm in Sheffield, as I said, in a terrible hotel. All I wanted to do was come back and run a nice hot bath. So I popped the plug in, turned the tap on, waited for the water to rise so I could sink myself in and relax. Stone cold water, not a drop of hot water, neither here or in the bathroom, nothing. So, well, at least it's cold and I can brush my teeth. You can hear my voice is going right now. So look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. You can tell I'm tired. Even me saying I'm going to keep this short, and I'm still talking, I can't stop. Even when I shouldn't really be talking, I should be shutting myself up, but I can't because I've got to do this and I've got to work. And that's what pays the bills. But look, this is episode 111. I'm so sorry, my voice is so croaky. And it's with the brilliant Sooz Kempner. Now, I first came across Sooz on Twitter, and the first time I read anything that she wrote, it was a thread about, and she's brilliant at a thread, she's so funny, how she went to get a job as a Christina Aguilera impersonator in Spain, I think it was. And it was very, very funny. And I thought, well, it'd be great to get her on and discover more about her and see what she's all about. And this is the episode where we do that. So look, I'm going to shut up and let you get on with this. If you love the podcast, if this is your first Two Shot Podcast, then there's 110 other episodes that you can go and dive into whenever you want, whoever you want. We're really proud of all of them. So go and discover some new people. But before you do that, let's dive into this. This is episode 111 of the Two Shot Podcast with the quite brilliant, funny, and very candid Sooz Kempner. Enjoy. I shall see you at the end, if I've got a voice. Do you know why? Do you know when, actually? And this, I'm starting off by giving compliments.
Okay.
How are you with compliments?
I'll take them and think about them later and be happy about them.
Do you?
But when I'm receiving them, I go, do you
Okay.
know these jeans were £2?
We'll see how we go with this. When you became one of my favourite people on Twitter.
No, but my trainers are awful.
It was with the Christina Aguilera thread.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you remember.
My Twitter breakthrough.
Do you think that was your Twitter breakthrough?
It definitely was.
Really?
Yeah. I'd really put the hours in for 10 years on Twitter and got to about 5,000 followers. And then I think it took 2 days to get to 24,000. And
that was the one that broke it all?
Literally. Yeah.
Oh, look. And as if by magic.
Oh, my tea is here. Thank you.
Here. Oh, just here,
That's
please.
Here. Thank you very much. Cheers. This place is posh. I've got a tea strainer.
There you go.
Who do I think I am?
Well,
I'll let it steep.
We're going to find it. We're going to find out exactly who are Sooz Kempner right now.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Do you think we can talk about how you came? Well, I'm wondering if we can talk about the Christina Aguilera thread and if it is going to work vocally.
I don't know, you can. I mean, I've talked about it on stage before, so...
Let's talk about it now, because some people will be listening.
Yeah.
And they won't know anything, because some people aren't on social media. You know, we can't really assume that everybody knows these stories.
But yeah, some people are not on social media.
Well, people would say that about yourself. They go, I don't know how you do it to stay on there.
Yeah, they do. They go, oh, how can you stand it? And I get annoyed. If I leave the house without my phone, if I forget it, I go, oh, God.
Do you feel like it turns into a problem?
I don't think it's a problem, because I know I can always go home. So I don't see it like a drug addiction, of which I've never had.
We'll get onto that later, don't worry. But do you see it as an addiction or some sort of crutch, or do you see it as a business tool?
It is a business tool, definitely. But I am worried about missing out on something on social media, like not replying in time to something that could have been important.
What one would say that could be an addictive personality, Sooz.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I
definitely have an addictive personality.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, at least we're honest about it.
Yeah.
What other things do you find that you can't do without, or you crave?
It's, if I get interested in something, I essentially have to eat that thing until I've had all of it. And that goes way back to when I was a teenager, and we first got shown a Scorsese film in a media studies A-level class.
What did they show you?
Taxi Driver.
They showed you that?
Yeah, I was 15, so I really got it.
You drunk that in?
Yeah, I was like, I could tell it was brilliant. You know, I can tell this is brilliant. And I want to see everything that everyone involved in this has ever done. So, like, over a weekend, I think I saw 8 Scorsese films. But I was like, I need to watch all of them. I need to see all of them. And there was a time limit on it. So, yeah. But but I've known from an early age, I can never take up smoking. I can never do drugs, because I know that I would go from
1 to 100.
Just smoking a cigarette, what's the problem? I'd be on 2 packs.
I'm on 40 a day. What's your problem? Yeah.
I don't see why that's a problem. Yeah.
But you yourself, by registering that you wouldn't do those things, that's quite healthy. I
guess so, yeah. Yeah, I knew at 17. No, I can't try a cigarette, actually.
So let's talk about Christina Aguilera.
Okay, yeah.
Because I need people to know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So we should need to start at the beginning, really, don't we?
Okay. So I did a script writing degree when I was 18. And during that degree, all I wanted to do was leave the degree and go and be an actor. Like, I went, well, writing's fine, but I want to act. I'm only going to be writing stuff for myself to be in. But I wasn't allowed to go to drama school, because we weren't from a family that had money, and there wasn't any support from my parents at that end. Like you're not going to be an actor. That's crazy.
When you say you weren't allowed, did you feel you weren't allowed because of society saying this isn't for you, or your parents, or a bit of everything?
Well, basically by my dad, who is an actor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's an actor. But his worst nightmare would have been his children going into it. So...
Because he knows the perils and pitfalls of it, or...
More that he's very worried that it will work out for us where it hadn't for him. It was more that.
Ooh,
yeah.
We'll get into that later. Carry on with the story first.
There's a whole lot there. But it was, you're not going to be an actor. So I went, well, I'll do script writing then. So I went and did that. And I was on this degree just wanting to be a performer. And so I left the degree. I did the whole thing because I've got an addictive personality. So I had to have all of it. I have to eat all of this degree. So I finished the degree. And then I went, right, what can I do that's performance-based? And it took about 6 or 7 months to get this job off a terrible website where they were looking for tribute acts to perform in the Med in Cyprus. here's the amount of money you'll get each month. All your accommodation and flights are taken care of. And I was like, oh, that sounds amazing.
It sounds positive so far.
Exactly, yes.
We've got sun, we've got a roof over your head.
Beautiful weather.
You've got a wage.
Yeah, absolutely. $2,000 a month.
Would you be working all the time? No.
5 nights a week.
5 nights a week?
Yeah, easy. So
Right. So it's all looking positive
all
at
good
this
so
point,
far.
isn't it?
And I do a serviceable Shirley Bassey impression. Certainly good enough for the people of Ayia Napa.
Yeah.
I went to the audition and I did this. I sang Diamonds Are Forever.
Right.
And they went, great. Could you do Christina Aguilera? Because we don't need a Shirley Bassey. We've got a drag queen who does that already.
And also, we're in Ayia Napa, so
Yeah,
there's a
that's
certain
true.
clientele.
It's only fun if it's a man singing it. So, so I went, yeah, no, totally, I can do Christina Aguilera. And I absolutely couldn't. Like, there was absolutely no way. So then I had a month to teach myself to sing like her.
Confidence goes a long way.
So I had to learn 30 Christina Aguilera songs in a month.
Did you?
Learn to sing like her, yeah.
So did you have to go back and audition, or did they just take you on
No,
your
they
word?
just said, no, it's fine, do it. Because, like, if you really squint, I had really bleached blonde hair at the time. And if you really squinted, I was like, yeah, no, possibly she could pass for Christina Aguilera for the kind of audience that will be going to see these gigs.
And also, if the audience are completely drunk, then...
Yeah, exactly. And they were.
And
Spoiler
they're going to
alert.
go with it, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And then I flew out there and I was met at the airport by the two bosses of this company who were holding up a picture of Christina Aguilera. And I went over well, must be. They're lucky I went over because it was a picture of Anastasia.
Not Christina.
The all out a love singer, not the Russian missing princess. So yeah, I went over and they took me to this pretty horrible apartment. I had to put my costume on and they took lots of photos of me. And this is an audio format, but there are pictures on the internet of me.
There are pictures on the internet.
With very sad eyes.
I urge you to go and seek these photos out.
Little bit. I always say it looks like they were taken in a Romanian prison. That's what it looks like in my costume.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, were the alarm bells ringing for you at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. From the moment they
popped
got
up
off the
Anastasia.
airport. Yeah. And the other people in the flat were just all sort of sitting around, other tribute acts all sort of sitting around smoking, going, yeah, we don't really know what's going on. And I wasn't smoking, obviously.
No, we've gathered
We've had that.
We have that. We're not doing that. But this sounds like hell.
Yeah,
already.
it was. Luckily, we were all in it together. There was a real sort of blitz spirit with the other tribute acts, but.
Were you getting on? Did you get on with the rest of
Yeah,
them?
most of them. Yeah. And we all sort of shared the horror together. But yeah, it was quite. I think back on it and go, God, why didn't I leave? But I know why I didn't leave. I didn't leave because my dad couldn't find out that it had gone badly. So I just, like, they took my passport off me on day one and were like, we'll just keep hold of this.
Did they?
And I went, that'll just have to be fine, because if it isn't fine, I take my passport back and I fly home now. And they're obviously not going to let me hang on to it. So yeah.
It really was a prison. You really were trapped there. And how long was your contract there? Was it like the summer?
The contract was 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah, and I signed it, and someone out there who may or may not have been right said, well, my boyfriend's the lawyer and he's looked at the contract and he says it's not worth the paper it's printed on. So I always had that in the back of my head, like, oh, maybe the contract.
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, her boyfriend was a lawyer.
But
and
pretty much I could tell you that even just from reading your thread and this story now. This doesn't sound legit at all.
We keep your passport.
Were you not scared in any way?
Yeah. But I was more scared that my dad would be like, there you go, see?
Told you.
I told you you'd never be a performer. Like, I'm just trying to be a tribute act. I'm doing like the worst job you could possibly do in this industry that is still a job in this industry. But yeah, and I didn't want it to be like, oh, you couldn't even do that.
So either, well, I'm going to say in the back of your mind, but obviously in the forefront of your mind was your dad.
Yeah. Always, yeah.
Well, I think we need to go back.
The Christina Aguilera thread is funnier than I've made it sound so far.
It's very funny. I mean, horrifying and tragic, but also very funny. But luckily, you got out alive.
Yeah, I did. I'm alive.
And nothing too bad happened.
No.
But there are a lot of funny stories in that thread, and I urge you to seek that out. And the corroborating photos that go with it. I mean, my God.
Yeah, many photos. There's a cat that looked like Gary Barlow who's always hanging about our flat. That's all light and fun.
Some people say producer Griff sounds like Gary Barlow, but we don't talk about that anymore. He gets quite upset about it.
Oh, it used to. There was a short window, wasn't there, where Gary Barlow was like quite cool in a kitsch way. And then he sort of went, but I made all this money and I'd like to keep all of it. And then everyone went, oh, I think he might be a prick.
Since when? Oh, no. See, I knew I was right. He was a twat. I'm not saying that. That's a quote. I'm not saying Gary Barlow's a twat.
No.
Put that to bed now.
That was like, that's for other people to say if they choose.
If they choose.
That kind of country. Yeah.
Sooz, I think saying that now and talking about your dad.
Yeah.
I think we need to go right back.
You want to delve?
Well, I want to go right back to growing up. And where was that? Where were you growing up?
Near Gatwick.
Right.
Yeah, a little village near Gatwick in... I'm lower middle class in a very bog standard house. But growing up, I thought, right, so my mum is a dressage rider. That's her job. But that is a job for the rich. A good dressage horse is sort of £100,000. We did not have access to that. We had a Renault 19 and my mum rides for other people. So she's an anomaly. She's that good at it that other people will pay her to ride their horses that they've spent a load of money on and overface themselves. So she's like a Formula One driver. She doesn't own the car. And she's been like a national champion. She competed nationally. But growing up, all our friends were her horse people.
Right.
who were incredibly rich. And I thought, well, we're like them. We're obviously... There's no difference. It wasn't that I understood at sort of 6 or 7 what wealth is, but I went, well, these are our friends, so we're like them. Even though they had, these stately homes and they never seemed to come around our house. And if they did, they were always smoking. There you go.
All comes back to smoking again.
Back to cigarettes. So that was my upbringing in a small semi.
And
my dad,
or do you have
me and my younger brother.
What's the age difference there?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years age difference. Yeah, but I look younger, so.
Always.
Playing age. His playing age is basically his age, whereas my playing age is like a little bit younger.
He's not an actor as well, is he? Is he?
Yeah.
Your dad. I'm feeling for him already.
Delighted. My dad wanted to be an actor and he had a job doing maintenance at Gatwick Airport.
Right.
He took redundancy when I was 7 to go and be an actor. And I remember that's when I first learned we have no money. I remember we were really, I think we nearly lost the house at one point. It was very, I don't want to say breadline because that sort of gives it this idea of like a Jimmy McGovern drama, but because it wasn't like that, it was really mundane. But I can remember one day my brother came home and said he wanted to do a football course that was 20 quid, and my mum had to tell him we can't afford it. And I remember, we can't afford £20. And I said, we don't have a lot of money. And that went on for several years.
And also at that age, you think, my son's making noise over there on a chair and he's 8 years old. And I remember he saved up some money and he had £27 and that was the pot of gold for him. That was a lot of money.
You can get a lot for 20 quid. If you go down the newsagent and get Sonic the Comic and some sweets, that only comes to about £3.
Well, you'll know, which left. We'll get on to Sonic later, obviously. The fascination with video games is...
Christina Aguilera.
We talk about healthy and unhealthy. I'm not sure this is...
None of it is. Also, I'm on the end of a cold as well, so... I feel like I've got that quite cool. Like, yeah, man, I really lived,
ill.
Man. That's really good.
I was slightly worried about you coming in today because I was reading some stuff Twitter. And I thought, she's not going to be well. She's
It's
not going to be
the
able to
end
come. No, well, you look great, so don't worry
Thank
about
you.
that.
I'm on 3 different medications, so yeah.
Let's not talk about taking drugs and 3 different ones.
Maximum 3 days at a time, and I really adhere to it. So where was I? My dad.
You're
so
talking
he
to your
decided
dad.
to be
He
an
decided.
actor.
So that's quite. What age was your dad when he decided to do
He'd
that?
have been. I'm good at stuff like this. Let me think. He'd have been 33, 32, younger than I am now.
I
Yeah,
mean, that's quite a bold move at 32 to jack in the job. And well, no, sorry, he took a redundancy, didn't he?
he did. Yeah, but I think my mum has told me since that gave us a few months to play with. She wasn't into it, but he was very much like, my dad was always, this is my decision and this is what's happening. So,
and it's obviously deep down something that's always niggled him in what he wanted to do.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't bring in a lot of money when you just leave
shit.
a job.
I mean, it doesn't bring in a lot of money for a long time, or if at all.
Yeah, and then suddenly it will, and then it won't again. And people can never understand that, can they? They'll go, so what's coming up? But what will you do? Like, well, I don't know. It could change tomorrow. It could be 6 months before I hear anything from my agent. Who knows? Anyway, my dad learnt that.
Yeah, I bet he did.
He was getting work. I think he got some adverts fairly early on, which is great, obviously, but he spends his money as soon as he has it. And
right.
yeah, I can remember a long period of us having no money. And it wasn't a big deal to me because I was 7 and my parents are going to make sure I got food. My mum certainly is.
Yeah, of course.
And she had a steady stream coming in because she is paid to ride other people's horses and train other people. So
that must have had an impact on the dynamic of the family.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
One person's sort of going, right, well, I've always wanted to do this, and now's the time, now's the call, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah, but it had I don't know, I don't remember it being a huge change other than he was around more because it was always his way. Up until... I mean, as a spoiler alert, my mum eventually left him when I was 25. And that was the first time I wasn't being told to stay out of his way. Oh, don't go and mention this to your dad. And suddenly I got to 25 and went, I don't have to be told not to say, not to act a certain way around my dad anymore. But that was the whole of my childhood and growing up. So
to sort of treat him with kid gloves or not sort of say
absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
For fear of upset or
he like the level of anger. I don't know if I've seen it from anyone else, even like in a film or on TV. It's a crazy one.
Where did you think that came from? What, his frustration or? I
think so. Yeah, and it definitely got worse as he got older because he didn't become a movie star. But he's worked consistently as an actor,
but he'd never got to where he felt he should be, or he wanted to be.
I wouldn't want to speak for him on that.
But I'm saying how that affected probably.
Yeah,
I can't even.
He definitely got angrier about how the career was going and how his life was going as he got older. But I think we become more ourselves, don't we, as we get older? So.
Well, of course, because the older we are, the more we grow into ourselves and we know.
Yeah.
I suppose we know who we are and what we want.
Yeah.
And what we kind of want to achieve and what's realistic, I suppose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do we get to a point where, I think this is realistic, or I say about knowing your limitations as an actor or an artist or whatever.
Yeah. Know what you would be happy with in your career.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. And I know it changes all the time because at one point I went, well, if I can just go full time singing and doing comedy and doing acting auditions and getting acting jobs here and there and doing a bit of writing, I'll have cracked it. And I've been doing that full time for 2 years. And I am going, okay, well, things will really get moving at some point.
But, it's a slow train.
It is, yeah. And I feel like I'm still young enough that it's not a lost cause. Like playing age 26. So.
But you'll be fine then, won't you, obviously. But when your mum said that, at that, what age did she leave? When she was 20, you were 25?
I was 25. My mum was 54.
Did you feel a sense of release or
Yeah.
relief then that you didn't have to walk on eggshells
Yeah.
around your dad?
Completely, yeah.
Did it change the relationship between you and your dad, or was
Yeah,
that...
I never saw him again. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I never saw or spoke to him again after that, yeah.
And was that... Forgive me for going too
Yeah.
personal.
No, that's fine, it's fine.
Was this a decision from yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know that I would... But as soon as she left, which was sort of New Year 2011, I went, oh, great, I don't have to... Because I would see him via her, and if she wasn't there, I wouldn't have to see him. But I thought, well, I will leave it until he's calmed down, obviously, and then maybe I'll speak to him again. But yeah, I never saw him again. I haven't spoken to him since about 2 weeks after that. So yeah, that's coming up on 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was no effort made from your dad's side to reconcile?
We call it no effort to reconcile, certainly. But a lot of contact. Like at one point when she first left, it was sort of 3 furious emails a day and phone calls I wouldn't answer, but really angry emails that I very quickly stopped answering because there was no point. And now it's down to like 1 or 2 a year. But it was a long period of getting an awful lot of contact telling me where I'd gone wrong.
Right, okay.
But it was always where I'd gone wrong.
It was never about holding his hand up and saying where he's gone wrong.
No, he would say that he had. But yeah, there'd be a lot of, I realise that there have been mistakes made on both sides, but you... And
right,
then,
okay.
yeah, so... And now I feel like I get a lot from people, what if he came back and he really was so sorry and he'd seen everything? From your point of view, what would you do? And I don't really know how to answer that because then he'd be somebody else. So,
but then again, people do change, as we just discussed, when people get older. But you're changing as well. You know?
Guess. Although I don't know. I feel like I'm the same as a kid. I've just got more resilient. Definitely, yeah. But I know myself better.
Of course.
But we got my nana for our Christmas present this year took old videos of us from like 89, 90. Me and my brother aged, he would have been 2 or 3 and me 4 or 5. And she put them all on DVDs so that we could watch them. And I hadn't seen these in over 20 years.
Yeah.
And it was really weird watching myself as a little kid because, I come up with the same bollocks. And there was a lot of clips of like my mum trying to read a book or watch TV and me in the background just going, and then mummy, the train just flies away and it's magic. And my mum's going, and that's the same. Susie's riffing again. I'm off.
So do you feel at peace now with the relationship between you and your dad within yourself?
Yes.
That this is just the way it is and I'm happy with that?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if happy's the right word, but yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah. It only gets to me now when other people say, I worked with your dad. He's great. And as if I'm wrong.
But they have a completely different relationship with him because he's obviously different with them. And, father and daughter relationship or a father and son relationship is...
That's it, yeah. And I'll tell them, I'll say that. Yeah.
It's like people commenting on if a relationship or a marriage breaks down and they go, but you two were so... Yeah, but people don't know what goes on behind anybody's closed doors, do they? So who are they to judge?
Yeah, that's it.
I understand why that would...
It's difficult because you then feel like the arsehole going, oh, no, you don't understand it. I had him my whole life. I try and be really like, I get it, but honestly, you weren't there. And they sort of act like, whoa, crazy bitch alert.
Yeah.
But
then again, that's from their perspective.
Yeah. And that whole, you only get one dad.
Of course.
I know. Yeah.
Let's talk about school. Yeah. Let's talk about school. Were you and your brother at the same school? Because there's only a couple of years difference.
Yeah, same primary and secondary school. And and sixth form. Yeah. 3 schools in a row, the same.
How did you find it?
All right, I think.
What was your academic life?
It was just a state school.
But were you someone that threw themselves into it, or were you
definitely.
quite coasty?
Yeah. So I missed a year. I ended up missing in year 4. I got separated from my classmates for being a pain in the arse. If you can imagine such a thing.
No, not. I mean, this
Me
is the first,
riffing.
This is the first time we've met.
The train flies off the track and it's magic for my classmate. So I'd have been probably 8 and they moved me to a desk on my own because they said you're not letting other people get their work done.
Just too busy distracting.
Yeah. And then, so I was on the desk on my own and I don't know how long it was, but they called my mum in for a meeting and she was like, what have you done now? And she came home and said they want to move you up a year. They want you to, when everyone goes into year 5, you're going to go into year 6. And I went, oh. And I thought that's good because everyone thinks I'm weird. So I'll just go into another year and I can reinvent myself. And funnily enough, those year 6s didn't take kindly to this new kid who was
Who's
a year
this upstart coming?
Yeah, who the hell do you think you are? But my teacher, Mr. Keach, really didn't want me in there either. He was really against it and kept telling me that, which I don't think is. I don't think that's an example of good teaching.
Very supportive of Mr. Keach.
Yeah. He called my parents in at one point and said she's not going to last 5 minutes in secondary school. Like I was going to die as soon as I walked through the front gates. Like, yeah.
Jesus, give the kid a chance.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was a year younger. I did all my GCSEs and A-levels a year early.
Did you pass them all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, top of the class in year 6.
So you are smarter than the average bear, obviously.
I was. I really don't think I am now. I think it ran out. Like I was in no way top of my A-levels or top of my uni course or anything. It's not like I went to Oxford University.
But who knows? Maybe you could have done. But you obviously didn't want to.
I quite liked the idea of going to Cambridge. I thought, that sounds good. But it wasn't something I tried to do.
But was there a plan at school? Were you thinking years ahead about what you wanted a career in? Or
yeah, when I was 14, I really wanted to present Top Gear.
You wanted...
I loved cars. That was another thing. I used to buy What Car magazine, like Alan Partridge.
Did you?
Yeah, I loved cars. I think I loved the fact there were so many of them. There were probably 300 different models on the UK market, and I knew all of them.
Where the hell did a car fascination come from?
I have no idea. I don't know, because it wasn't like, I can't wait till I can learn to drive. I wasn't really that fussed on that. But I was really interested in cars and the design of them. It's really weird, isn't it? And I'm not remotely interested now. I can't.
How long did that fascination last?
A couple of years. I was really interested in it, but my aim was to present Top Gear. And I think that comes back to me just quashing the fact that I wanted to be an actor. I think that's literally it.
Really?
Yeah,
and do you think
was just a way to perform.
Do you think this stems back from your dad not wanting to?
Definitely.
To act?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the point where you said to him, that's what I wanted to do?
It was when I was 14, I said, when I leave school, I want to be an actress. And he went, don't bother, because there'll always be 1,000 girls more talented and better looking than you. And I was 14. And also, I was a lively kid who riffed a lot, but I definitely didn't need bringing down a peg or two in terms of confidence. So, I don't
think anybody does
not
need
really.
that saying to them, especially from
also,
their dad.
There's lots of parts for character actors.
Yeah, of course there is.
They need us. So yeah, I think then I remember for several years going, I definitely don't want to be an actor, even though I was putting way more effort into the sixth form productions of Guys and Dolls than I was into any of my A-levels.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It speaks volumes, that really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And has the singing always been there?
Definitely. Yeah, that's always, that's a weird one. That's always something I've had total confidence in.
Where'd that come from?
I stayed behind in assembly one day, because they said if anyone wants to sing in the Christmas concert, sing the solo, stay behind and don't go to assembly. And I went, oh, brilliant, I don't have to go to assembly. And I was the only kid who didn't consider it a big deal to stand up and sing a verse of Once in Will David City in front of however many kids and stay behind. And I got the solo.
God, so the confidence really was there, wasn't it?
I didn't know I could sing. I hadn't been told I could, but I figured like, well, it's fine, it's just singing in front of your class, whatever. So I did it. And and then all the way, like that was instantly, I went, oh, this is a thing that I can do. I wasn't any good, I was 7. Let's not, it wasn't oh my God, she sounds like Celine Dion.
Yeah, but we all start somewhere.
Yeah. I was probably like all right for a 7-year-old.
Did you work on it from there,
yeah,
knowing that you loved it?
I sang constantly, singing and writing fan fiction all the time. Yeah. And I really, like, the first thing, I think, like, this might be a bit wanky, but I feel like when I sing, it's like the best part of myself. So if I can sing in front of somebody, they'll see the best part of myself.
What do you feel? I don't think that's weird or wanky at all. Because do you feel that there's a sense that you can become really you when you sing and you feel really free? But only singing other people's stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't know how to write my own stuff and sing it. So do you feel when you're not singing, you're putting on a slightly heightened version of you or a different version of you?
No, I wouldn't say that, to be honest. My mum always says, like, ugh, you're always yourself, aren't you? She listens to podcasts that I'm on and go, so she'll hear this and go, oh, God, why did you say that? And she'll say, oh, you're you, aren't you?
But
this is what I'm
applauded.
Like.
I mean,
I guess, I don't know.
No, I think
that's been a boon in stand-up, certainly, because I do stand-up. And I think I can never be anything other than myself, even if I'm reading out, even if I'm saying stuff that, I've said 1,000 times because it's a joke I've written. Like, you're always seeing me on stage.
But it's funny, isn't it, when you look at the world of stand-ups, which, we'll talk about in a bit as well. But certain stand-ups, quite a lot of stand-ups, put on a version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the stand-up who are character comedians. I'm talking about the ones that, I mean, even if you look at someone like Richard Herring, it's sort of that embittered version of him.
Yeah. I see exactly what you mean. I think on stage it's going to be more of like me going, I'm a hot mess, whereas actually I keep track of my diary and I'm never late.
You're never late. I was going to say you were like 3 minutes early today, which I applaud.
Do you know what as well? I waited around the corner for 20 minutes because it's so annoying when people arrive really early, isn't it? So,
Or it's really annoying when people arrive really late.
Yeah, that is annoying. I think it's a terrible rudeness.
Is there an excuse for it? I don't know.
I think if it happens once and they go, the traffic,
well,
you can go...
Should have
left early. But sometimes the M25 holds you up by an hour and a half. And if you're then only half an hour late, you go, okay, fine. I get it.
Well, then don't live in London.
No, that's true too.
Saying that we are in London right now.
Yeah, we are in London. But I made it from outside of London. A friend of mine who's always late, I once was going to her house to meet her at her house. And I drove, and it's usually an hour and a quarter, and it took 2 hours, and I was dead on time. And I rang the doorbell, and I rang the doorbell. And I rang the doorbell, and then finally she answered it. She was, sorry, I've just got in the shower. And I was so angry. And that was 8 years ago. And I still think about it. And no, I'm on time despite a car accident, not mine. I didn't cause it.
That's another story.
Yeah, I can't get into that. It's been 8 years, but the file's still open. I'm on time and you're late to come to the front door to meet you because you couldn't be bothered to get in the shower earlier. And that's 8 years, I'm still annoyed.
If there's certain friends of yours, and I have certain friends that I know for a fact they're going to be late.
Yeah.
So if we say we're going to meet at 7:30, then I know I'm not even going to turn up till about 8:15.
Okay, right. Does it still annoy you though?
Yeah, because I'm used to it now, but I've sort of switched my time in.
Yeah.
So if we're going to meet at 7:30, we'll say that.
Yeah.
I'm not arriving till such and such a time, and then I only have to wait 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So then I arrive, my shoulders Nice and relaxed. It doesn't bother me.
That's true. That's true. And you haven't had to sit there with your phone
No,
for 45 minutes.
Building the thermometer of anger within inside myself.
You have to do the tight smile when they arrive. Hiya.
Yep,
Right.
none of that. Totally fine. So what was when you're leaving sixth form, where were you going then?
Bournemouth University.
Why Bournemouth?
Because it was the only place that did a scriptwriting degree.
Right.
Wasn't allowed to go to drama school. So I went, right.
Which we sorted that.
We've had this. So I went, what's the best writing-based degree that I can do?
And it was there at Bournemouth.
Yeah. And the first thing I looked at in the brochure was, do they have a performing arts society?
And they did.
Yeah.
Right.
And I asked it on my open day as well. I was like, excuse me, do you have a performing arts society? And they were kind of like, yeah, I think so. And yeah, my energy was thrown into performing arts. The one musical a year they did, it was thrown into that far more than any of the script writing.
And did the script writing, was that coming easy for you there? Or were you just constantly learning?
I don't know. It wasn't that... I was always just writing stuff that I could be in, even though we weren't filming any of our projects. But I'd write it, and just that was where the enjoyment was coming from, writing it, going, and now I'll play this part. And yeah, so you see these, like, there's always a character who's about 18 in every script.
That's for me.
Not yeah. Who's she? She seems quirky. She's got all the fun stuff. There was. So I think we would write 3 or 4 scripts a year, and I was in them somewhere. But I don't remember ever doing more than the first draft.
Really?
And we had you'd have to write a first draft, show it to your tutor, and then you'd have a big hour-long note session on it with your tutor, and then go away and, like sort of trying to mimic the process of TV production.
Yeah.
Because that's exactly how it works. You send the script to a TV company, and you always get a meeting where they give you lots of notes, and it always goes in development. So
development
hell. I'm currently in it. I would have a meeting with the tutor who'd go, okay, great, here's what we change, and maybe this moves to here. And I would I'd tweak 2 or 3 things over the course of about half an hour, and that would be the final version I handed in.
Was that because you didn't agree with the notes that were being said? Or
not at all. I just
didn't
care.
Right.
Did not care. This is good enough, that's what I thought.
Is it because you were looking at the bigger picture that this right now wasn't what you wanted to do?
I guess so, yeah. Even if I wasn't... I don't think I thought about... I was 18, 19. I don't think I was going that deep into it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I don't care enough. My essays as well, I'd write them the night before all night and then hand them in at 9 a.m.
Oh.
Knackered, and then go back to bed. Because I didn't care. It's terrible to just do the bare minimum on your degree that the taxpayer's paying for.
Yeah.
But I made up for it in the amount of effort I put into my performances in Return to the Forbidden Planet and Grease. And we didn't have, there wasn't a performing arts, there wasn't a drama degree at the university. So these musicals were performed by a load of journalism students just having a laugh, and me taking it as seriously as if this was Broadway. And like, come on, guys, let's put on. And we didn't have a theatre, so they were performed in a lecture theatre.
Right, okay.
I'm sure they weren't very good, but I put in... I don't think I've ever put in as much effort to anything since I did, because these were so important.
Effort goes a long way, Sooz.
It does. Someone on Twitter the other day said, I saw you in both those productions. I saw you in Bournemouth University's productions. And first thing I want to do is send her a singing video to go, I've really improved. This is the best
I've
part of
grown
myself.
since then.
Yes,
Look at me now.
It's all Sondheim now.
So when did the stand-up comedy come in? Because at the moment, what I'm looking at is the singing's coming in, the writing's coming in, the acting.
Want to be an actor.
You really want to do, but we're suppressing that for other reasons. Yeah. And I'm just trying to work out where stand-up came in. Okay,
so I left university and tried to get into drama school immediately because...
Why change of heart now with drama school? Because the relationship had changed?
Because I just figured he couldn't stop me.
Right.
Because I was 21.
And that relationship had changed with your dad then?
No,
No?
relationship hadn't changed, but I didn't care as much.
But you felt stronger because
Guess so. I figured I'll just go.
You're 21, you're becoming a woman, you've got your own mind. So you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and I went, because my parents were both saying, my mum was saying, it's so much money, where's the money going to come from? And I went, I guess I'll just find it. It wasn't going to come from them, they didn't have it. But I knew I'd looked into all these scholarships you could get, and I went, there'll be a way. I'll do a master's in musical theatre. I'll find a way. And I tried for 3 years to get into drama schools, and none of them would take me.
Yeah.
And it was really crushing. And my dad it was best day of his life. That I couldn't get into any of these drama schools. So I stopped telling him that I was even auditioning. And you have to pay every time you audition for these as well.
You do, yeah.
We're going back to about 2006 to about 2008. It's 60, 70 quid every time you audition.
Must be around that, definitely, yeah.
Which is outrageous that they make you pay. And then finally, at the end of 2008, I auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music, which was my number one choice that I'd never tried before. Because it's the one that doesn't take 200 people a year. It takes 30 people a year, and it's very exclusive. And
did you just feel it was out of your grasp?
Yeah, I felt it was out of my league, I think. Yeah. And someone came to see me in something at the Canal Cafe Theatre,
right.
and I was talking to her afterwards going, I really want to try and do drama school, and I think next year is going to be my last shot at it. I was 23 at this time. And she went, I went to RAM, have you tried RAM? And I went, oh, no. And she said, yeah, no, go for it. And I got in first time.
Wow.
It was obviously the right one. And it was the best year of my life so far.
Was it?
Yeah.
Why was it so, did it just exceed your expectations?
It really did. And the amount of possibility that every day held when I went into RAM, it was amazing. And it was when nothing my dad said about it mattered. Like he came to one of the concerts and was kind of like grizzling about how crap the facilities were and how it's too expensive and how half these people won't work. And I remember just feeling like calm as a Hindu cow.
Yeah.
And I don't care what you think.
It sounds to me like you were there and you were completely supported.
Yeah.
In these walls.
Yeah.
And you're allowed, because that's the great thing is that I always, when I'm talking to people who go to drama school or whatever support, they're allowed to fail. Yeah. They're allowed to fall on their arse and do whatever they want, and everybody picks themselves back up and they can carry on.
And there was no element of, we're going to crush you to build you back up again. It wasn't that kind of place.
No.
I feel very sorry for people who say, oh, God, I hated my drama degree. I hated my drama school. I go, oh, God. That must, if I'd gone to RAM and hated it, I don't know if I'd still be acting now. I don't know if I'd have bothered.
You just don't know, do you? Because you just got to come out of that conveyor belt a completely different type of person.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, and I came out ready for the industry, which then wasn't kind. It has not been. I'm not one of those people who walked into a West End job because it just doesn't happen for everybody.
Because is that what you wanted to walk out and do? Did you want
I wanted to be in musicals.
You wanted to do musicals?
Yeah. But basically, I got into RAM in February. The course started in September. And I went, well, I've got 6 months. Now's when I do stand-up. Because it doesn't matter if it doesn't work out. Because I've got 6 months now where I can just do it. And now that's been over 10 years doing stand-up.
So what was the inspiration to even start to begin to do stand-up?
I always wanted to try it. But that was it was a little bit like RAM. I went, it'd be amazing. I'd love to try stand-up, but where do you even begin?
Yeah.
I think I tried to do a stand-up course at one point when I was 17. I rang, it was an ad in a local paper for a stand-up course at the local theatre, and I rang and I was booking it all in, and they said, okay, you just need a date of birth. Oh, you have to be 18. And I went, I can't do the stand-up course. And it probably would have been garbage, and it would have just been this 17-year-old with absolutely nothing to say, surrounded by probably a lot of middle-aged men who wanted to talk about their divorce on a stage. But it's almost a shame I didn't start then, because then I'd have been doing it for nearly 20 years. But I started doing stand-up just after I turned 24.
Do you think it's something that you can teach, like to go on courses like that? Because it's so specific.
It is.
I know quite a few stand-ups, and I've looked at them and I've seen them fail and rise, and it's just been like this massive roller coaster for them. And as much as people would like look at me as an actor and go, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you can do it. You know, sometimes I look at them and I go, oh my God.
Oh, really?
I do sometimes, but then again, the sort of artist in me. Sorry, I've just been sick in my own mouth. Not really. But I do know why they do it. So I can appreciate and empathise, and I know the buzz, and I can see the skill, and I love it all. I've just always found it so fascinating, I suppose, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always say to people who go, oh God, I've always wanted to try it, but I don't know how I could. I always say it's not that hard, because when you start, you're terrible at it. So, like, you'll be bad at. No one walks into their first gig and they're amazing. I mean, probably there's been like 2 comics ever.
But the bad gig, I'm sure, is in the post.
Oh
It must be.
Oh yeah, I still have them now. No one's infallible.
Tell me about the first time you went up on stage to try it. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was March 29th, 2009, because I remember it well, because 10 years later was meant to be Brexit Day. So March 29th, 2019 should have been the day we left the EU. And thank God it wasn't, because what a horrible anniversary. But yeah, it was March 29th, 2009. I went to an open mic.
Where was that?
My Stockwell, Cavendish Arms.
Right.
Yeah. And it looks like a proper comedy club in there as well. It's got the old black and white tiled floor, stage with red curtains. And you go up and you do 5 minutes. And I went and I talked about being Christina Aguilera tribute act. And,
Oh, how funny that we've just started with that.
This is the weird thing that it took off on Twitter, because I went, oh wow, none of this is a secret. I've talked about it on stage. But I remember getting that first laugh and going, oh,
how did that feel, getting that first laugh?
Like tiramisu. It was amazing. I went, oh, I said a thing that I thought in my head and people laughed. And now I have to keep doing this. And yeah, the first time I died on my arse was probably only my 3rd or 4th gig, actually. But I don't have as big a memories of that as I do of like that first gig, which wasn't like, it definitely wasn't amazing. And there's a video of it somewhere online.
Yeah.
Which I revisited, I think, last year, and I went, ooh, keep still, stop giggling.
Do you go back and did you at the time, or maybe you still do, go back and watch performances now? And
study. I remember one time going, maybe there's a formula, and I'll write down exactly when the first laugh was, and then how big the next laugh was. And then I did that one time and went, yeah, that's not going to teach me anything.
Right.
Because there is no formula to stand up.
And how do you write?
Nowadays, a lot of it is Twitter. If like a germ of an idea, because you only get your, 240 characters.
Yeah.
And if one tweet, people go, funny, I go, oh, and is there 8 minutes in that? And yeah, I have a document in my on my laptop, which is just called Stand-Up Ideas, and I'll write everything in that. And then when I have to write a new show, of which I'm about to start writing my 8th solo show, I'll go in there and pick out what I go, oh yeah, that's got something.
It's so interesting, and this happens so many times when I'm talking to people. When we started our conversation before, we started about social media and using it as a business tool, and now we've kind of come full circle.
It really is a business tool, yeah.
And the one thing that we haven't discussed yet is certainly last year's show was at Edinburgh Festival, which is this fascination, certainly with video games, but more importantly with quite specifically one video game.
Yeah.
When did the video games come in?
Oh, God. My mum had gone away to Denmark to be bought a dressage horse for 3 weeks. I wrote about this on Twitter a couple of days ago, weirdly. And my dad immediately took me and my brother to buy a Sega Master System. And that was for him, but he said it was for us. And he had like a war game on it that he was always playing with the gun. And
Well, he's got to release his anger some way, surely.
shoot some Gulf War soldiers on some 8-bit Gulf War soldiers. Mind those nurses. You weren't allowed to shoot the nurses. But we eventually got on that Sonic, and Sonic really captured my imagination. I was 7. I remember just being like, Sonic's brilliant. Like the colours are amazing. I love the design of the sprite.
The music.
Yeah, the Sonic music's great. And I get a buzz still from playing those games and just talking about them. Because I think that it really represents something that I really loved as a little kid. Like the Sonic games. Yeah.
What's your work ethic like? With regards to writing, do you hold yourself away and go, right, today I'm writing this, or I'm beginning this show, or I'm just going to start the new Edinburgh show?
God, it's terrible, but I don't think it's changed since uni. Like, I don't ever want to feel really stressed out with it, so I just am sort of doing it in the background. And I can write in a horrible, like, pretzel position with the telly on, and I'll be watching something and writing a bit. Like, I don't need an office or a desk space. We don't have room for one in my house, so it wouldn't happen. But yeah, if I have a preview booked, I have the best intentions to spend 2 weeks writing this first draft of an hour.
And then do you do it the night before?
Yep.
There we go.
And then on the day, I'll go, okay, the preview's in Birmingham, so I know I have to leave at 2. So I've got from 9 till 2, I can just be writing it and making because I always have a PowerPoint presentation that runs through the show. So I was like, like an hour to write, hour to spend on writing it, then start the PowerPoint presentation, then 2 more hours writing it, and then finish it, and then I can be in the car at 2 and it's fine, and I can think about it on the way there. And then when I get there, I'll probably have half an hour. I can sort of look over it. And it's all right. You can read it. Telling myself that
because
that's fine.
Because it's a preview.
Yeah. Because it's the first preview.
Yeah.
So again, it's that thing where my shows, they do change from the first ever preview, obviously.
Yeah.
I tend to only do between 8 and 10 previews before Edinburgh. And the shows do change, but there's not a massive remodelling that goes on between that first draft and what I end up doing in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm inherently lazy.
Do you generally think that?
I do, and people find that really weird that I say that. But I do. I don't want to work too hard, so I find ways around it.
Well, I think honesty goes a long way. So, to be honest, when having started with your 5-minute slots, they would obviously go up to 10, 15, 20, and then you'd go for half. When was the stage? Or was it someone that said to you, right, I think you should try Edinburgh now? Or was this you? Because for someone who is, and will hold their hands up and say they're inherently lazy, to jump and go and do Edinburgh, which is obviously an hour slot for a month.
Yeah.
And I've been told it's unforgiving and it's relentless.
Especially when it's me, because I take on other shows and go, yeah, it's fine, I'll just do a musical in the evening as well.
I know, because I see you jump into all sorts of other things, and I don't know how you do it. Or so what was the starting point for that to go start Edinburgh?
When I say that I'm lazy, it's when it's something you enjoy, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
So I think I enjoy creating my shows, my hour shows, so much it doesn't feel like work. So there probably is hard work going on that I just don't know about, if that makes sense.
Well, it bloody sounds like it, yeah. I mean, for someone who does say that, you sound more like a workaholic.
Yeah, maybe I hate sitting still if there's not something coming up. Like I don't see the point in going on holiday unless there's a lot going on the holiday. So that makes sense. But yeah, I wanted to do Edinburgh, but again, it felt like something. I don't know how you even begin to do it. So I'll just keep doing stand-up, keep doing 10s, 15s. I'm getting paid now, that's good. Oh, people are going off to Edinburgh. Okay, it doesn't seem insurmountable. And then in 2013, I had the soul-crushing breakup that I just went, I don't have anything except the stand-up.
Right.
So I'll just write an hour. I'll write the hour. And the following year I went to Edinburgh and did my debut show. just so sad.
And was that based on the heartbreak?
No, it was based on my parents' divorce. I read out, my dad, the night before my mum left him, sent her a 7,500 word email written on his iPhone about what a nightmare I am. So I read it out in the show,
Wow.
like 3.5 years later. And that was my first stand-up show, and sang the songs of Wicked.
I mean, people go through all forms of therapy in their life, Sooz. I mean, that is to do that in front of an audience.
Yeah, I didn't think that was... I went into Edinburgh with a sort of fearlessness, because the worst thing had happened in that, like, the love of my life, he'd left me. So I don't care how this stand-up show goes. I don't care how this month in Edinburgh goes. It doesn't really matter, and it's your first one. You're allowed to do whatever you like.
So in a way, you were going to it completely free.
Yeah.
Going, it doesn't matter if I fail, because I've got...
Well,
in
yeah.
a way, I've kind of got nothing to lose.
That's it. I went... I was literally going, no one's going to come and see it. I'll do a show that will make my mum laugh, because she thinks me talking about my dad is the funniest thing.
Did she know what the show was going to be about?
Yeah. She saw the
what
first...
What did she say? When...
Oh, man, she was like, oh, God, I've got to bring everyone I know to see this.
Did she?
Yeah. All her friends used to come along to see that show.
Oh, my God.
They come less now. They're like, video games. Okay. But yeah, reading out that email from my dad, I don't think I'll ever have a bigger gift in comedy. Even though I look back on the show now, and if I was writing that show now, there's so much I'd change, because structurally it was like a mess, and there was also no reason for me to be singing the songs from Wicked in it. I'd really shoehorned them in.
Because you
and
really
also,
wanted to.
I want to be in Wicked. I'm defying gravity. Guys, it's like my dad said that it's nothing to do with that. There was sort of a loose connection with my dad said I couldn't be an actor and I want to be in Wicked. Good for you, princess. But I read out this email from my dad, and people were coming every day to see this show about Wicked. It was full every day.
So from thinking that nobody would come...
It was packed full of people who loved Wicked, because the show was called Defying Gravity. And luckily, I learned doing that show, so many people either know someone who has what's called a necessary estrangement from a parent, or they have one, or, oh, my grandfather was just like that, and that's what my mum went through. And yeah, it was amazing, the amount of people who it turned out had been through the same.
It sounds like you were not only helping yourself, but helping quite a lot of other people. Because that wasn't even...
That was not the aim.
That was not the aim, is it? Was it at all?
Yeah. I just want to help people. No, I never want to help people. I want to show off. That's it.
Sooz, thank you so much for coming on. That was brilliant. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I did.
And another episode is done. As you can hear, my voice is almost done. Look, if you don't follow Sooz on Twitter, then make sure you do. She's at Sooz UK, and she will brighten up any of your days. I promise you. Promise. So look, I'm going to go, because I'm kind of buggered, and I've got to work tomorrow. I've got to talk and do some acting, and I can't do it if I don't have a voice. So look, thank you so much for downloading and subscribing. Keep telling people about the podcast, and we'll see you next week, nice and healthy. But thank you so much for downloading and subscribing. Deep breath. Until next week. Oh, I've been half of Craig Parkinson, and he has been the brilliant producer Griff. And this has been the Two Shot Podcast. You take care, stay safe, stay sound, and look after your voice. I'll see you next week. The Two Shot Podcast is presented by me, Craig Parkinson, recorded and produced by Thomas Griffin for Splicing Block. Our brilliant music is courtesy of Then Thickens. Cheers.